if I'd have told you 20 years ago that you and I would collectively spend thousands of hours per year watching videos of chiropractic appointments, you would have said I was crazy.
I would.
And yet, here we are. What I wanted to explore today was why we still love chiropractic adjustment videos on the internet, and what's going to be the most fun and the most exciting and the most cutting edge is to explore some of the hottest new subgenres of chiropractic adjustment on the internet and some of the stars and in some cases pioneers of these new subgenres. It's 2025 and you and I, we have lives watching strange, cold offices with a padded table and typically a man has more often a man has a patient on the table and he's saying, why have you come to us today? What's your problem? Well, doctor, I get a lot of problems with my neck. I got a lot of pain. When did this pain start? And then he does chiropractic adjustments to the person. And there's something about that is so enduring because it's not just a fad. Yeah. It has been popular on YouTube for years. Yeah. You think maybe it's the kind of ASMR thing that's just going to come and go. But I have found personally that since getting TikTok, Instagram, it's exploded and grown in popularity, chiropractic adjustment videos.
It was there. It was kind of at the forefront of ASMR even becoming a thing. And, you know, different people have experimented with different fads, haven't they? But chiro, it's going to be with us probably 100 years from now. There's still going to be, whatever the internet, as long as there is an internet, there'll be chiropractors who are teetering on the edge of losing their right to chiropract and miking up people's sacrums and lumbars.
I feel like I think the licensing is looser in the United States than it is in the United Kingdom. The kind of claims that you can make about the benefits of chiropractic adjustment, it's very America in that you can just jump up and say, hey, I'm going to do this and it's going to do this for you, and that's all above board, whereas in the United Kingdom you can't make such claims as a chiropractor because
it's going to cure your tumor. With
exactly.
Clicks.
with clicks and pops. It's 2025. The internet is all about niching down. You can't jump on YouTube right now and be like, I'm just a dusty old chiropractor that's going to do hey, if somebody says, hey, what's your YouTube video, Alex? If I go, oh, it's chiropractic ASMR adjustments, people are going to go, good luck getting cut through with that because that's saturated. So you need to start niching down. You need to go, I do chiropractic adjustments, but they're chiropractic adjustments that insert here. And then if you really want to double down, insert a second weird niche, like a strange location, not just like the types of people that you work on or your demeanor, but also like a strange exotic location. So we're going to get to that. I thought what I would start with was this Washington Post article that I read from a journalist called Ashley Fetters Malloy, and I typically would paraphrase from news articles that I read, but I thought this so well encapsulated why chiropractic adjustment videos on the internet succeed so well in a way that I could never put into words. So I'm just going to read it. So Ashley's written here, humans have long sought help restoring our bodies to some vague idea of their natural divine working order, an overall sense of well-being that targeted, specialized medical care often doesn't offer. And for better or worse, practitioners have always stood at the ready, prepared to intervene when our chakras seem blocked, when our humors seem unbalanced, when our meridians surely became constricted, when our orgone levels were all out of whack. The search for relief, in other words, for a quick, efficient factory reset An erasure of the daily toil that we put our bodies through is as universal as the solutions on offer are endless. In 2023, as the article was written, it shouldn't be surprising that in a world full of laptop workers connected globally to the internet is finding such relief vicariously through videos online. And then another article that I read said, like most internet fixations, chiropractic videos have a natural escalation and relief built into them. So it's your kind of,
it's got a narrative structure to it.
It's got a narrative structure. It's got an open loop. Here, patient goes into room. I have a problem. And it's a physical problem that you, as an individual, you can vicariously feel that you say, everyone's got a fucking sore back. Everyone's got a fucking sore neck. Doctor, there's just something wrong with my neck. And then, you know, we live in a world where nobody cares about us anymore, and we live these isolated lives.
Especially if you give the overlay of the US health system, where probably there are people coming into some of these videos and these officers who are just like, they probably broke their neck when they got hit by a car and they just couldn't afford to go to hospital. So they've just lived with it, and they come in a state of disrepair, you might say.
And they'll tell the chiropractor, they'll say, "Oh, doctor, I had a real bad accident and my I've been in terrible chronic pain my whole life. I can't turn my head." And the chiropractor will go, and then the chiropractor is a very caring figure in a way that, again, I think that really speaks to us. You're watching this video where you go, look, there's the guy with the fuck neck. I've got a fuck neck. And the chiropractor's going, I understand. Yeah, so
that's really tough.
Just take a look at you. And then human touch. Then the chiropractor gives you a little bit of, I'm just going to feel, and everybody, it's almost like a massage. And so you're going, they're almost getting, I can imagine what that feels like.
Yeah.
And then the chiropractor will say, I just relax. Again, who says that? Look, I have a high stress life. Nobody's saying to me ever, Alex, you get to relax. Alex, take a load off. Nobody's saying that to me. So you're watching these videos, and a caring adult man is saying, I just want you to relax your head into my arms.
And there's always an element of trust. Sometimes it will actually say, just trust me, or do you trust me?
Yeah.
And it's this kind of, there's this kind of intimate relationship of trust that is instantly created between patient and chiropractor. And that's very different from someone who says, you've got a sore neck, here are some opioids, get out of my office.
Fuck, that would be such a great, see how well that fucking YouTube channel does, like nobody's watching. That'd be great though. Just go like Dr. Poppy, who just gives
Dr.
people
Poppy.
like,
that's
he's
right.
just like, you come in and you go, oh doctor, my neck's really hurting. You just go, here you go. The rep took me to a hotel for the weekend, so he told me to give you these.
Exactly.
His name was the man from man from Sackler told me to just give you these after I went to the resort in Dubai for 2 weeks.
They say, you've got a slip disc, here's some fentanyl.
So there's the intimacy that the chiro's going, I understand. Yeah, okay. It's been hard, hasn't it? And then they say, then they touch you, and then they they touch the person in the video, and then they say that they can like feel that there's a physical manifestation of the problems you've been having. You've been real stressed, haven't you? You've been doing such a good job of work. I can feel that. Yeah, there it is.
You're carrying a lot of tension in here.
Carrying a lot of tension. Yeah, I'm carrying a lot of and then it's like and then the promise they're making is, I'm going to do this little thing, and all that tension that's built up in your life, I'm going to just do a little twisty turn of my hands, and you're going to feel a physical relief sensation, a release. They call it a release. We're going to release that for you. We're going to find the bind. The head's there it is. It's a big one. Yeah,
it's got a bit of a kind of a shamanic quality, you might say, doesn't it?
Totally. It's this kind of it's this cross between. The other reason that it works so perfectly is because it sort of purports to be like traditional scientific based medicine, and it looks that way. It's in a kind of they're in a doctor's outfit. It's a white room, but then it has all the kind of like tarot reading elements to it as well.
Does.
And so it's like if it was somebody. Spot. It's the sweet spot, because if it was if it was like a dirty hippie with dreadlocks and sage going, I'm going to do this, I'd be like, yeah, okay, fine. But there's something about the authority of like, nah, I did a course, I got a certificate on the wall. Look, I'm wearing scrubs, don't you?
And they throw in language, which sometimes I find quite amusing, because it's like they're just doing it to sort of project a sense of authority and credibility. They'll kind of unnecessarily talk about your anterior thismus or some shit, and you're just like
C4.
Yeah, so around about the anterior C4 there. Oh. And you're like,
and then they'll turn to their assistant, and there's like a bunch of unnecessary X-rays they've taken on the wall, going, "Yeah, look at this, you're really out of alignment." It's just like looks like a normal spine, just pointing at it. Going, oh, you're terribly out of alignment. Jeanette, can you give me a printout? Can you give me a printout of this, please?
Printout of this vertebrae.
And then you're watching it. You're sitting there after a hard day of work, and then there's the anticipation, because you know what's coming. Everybody knows what's coming. You're just waiting for it. In fact, I'd get such YouTube blue balls if my internet connection cut out before the crack happened in an ASMR Chiro video.
Totally.
I'd be sitting there rub my hands together going, Dr. Alex Tubio, he's going to do it. He's going to do it again. And then if my internet cut out, just be like, no, it just starts shaking the screen violently.
Suddenly find yourself getting an incredibly sore neck just from the lack of vicarious release. I know what you mean. And then, honestly, and sometimes I do watch them, and the result is kind of a little bit underwhelming, and I just go, I fucking can't finish on that. I've got to watch another one now because I need.
Thankfully, I've got another 20 tabs open here on my internet browser with the door locked. Leave me alone. Saying it just into watch videos.
The baby's awake again, and I'm going, shut up. I didn't get a good clack from that one. I need a good clackety.
Can't get a good enough cavitation. You taught me that word because we've spoken about this. Cavitation is the because actually what's happening in the just a little editor side note here. What's actually happening in chiropractic adjustment, or when you crack your knuckles, it's not a crack. It's the nitrogen between the joints that's escaping. That's what's giving. That's the
and it's
gaseous
amazing
release.
That they didn't really. I think they only quite recently, only in the last couple of years, actually managed to establish that, because, and there's still a little bit of confusion about exactly what's going on and what the mechanism is and why it gives people this sense of satisfaction, because they talk about maybe it kind of slightly resets the joint, or maybe it kind of, maybe it some claim that it releases essentially neurochemicals that give you a sense of pleasure, and that accounts for the fact that when people get cracked, they feel less pain in that particular joint or whatever. But I think they only managed to capture, using kind of live X-rays, like X-ray video, essentially, what happened in the joint when that happened. And when I was a kid, they used to say, "Don't crack your knuckles," because
that's right. You get arthritis.
Exactly, as though it was like bone on bone, which it is not.
So I thought, what's going to be the funnest thing now? Because you and me love the Chiro videos. If you haven't watched them out there, stop this right now, or just list. I can give you some recommendations actually, because I've got a list of some of my faves. I've been watching some of these people for years and getting a sense of release. One of the earliest pioneers is a guy called, he's Houston's Gregory Johnson, and he is regarded as one of the OGs, one of the godfathers of YouTube online chiropractorism. And he has only 500,000 subscribers. He's been lapped by a lot of the big boys and big girls, but he's really one of the OGs. He's the guy that kind of kicked off. And he's also the guy that popularized the Y strap, aka the ring dinger, which I'm going to ask you about. Yeah, the ring dinger. And what will have happened? It's like so many of these beautiful, strange internet stories. Is my guess is that Gregory Johnson just started a YouTube channel because he thought, look, here's an opportunity for me to get more clients to my business. Here's an opportunity for me to share a bit of my passion for Chiro, to educate people about it. That's why I will start a YouTube channel. And then people in the comments started going, I need this. This is amazing. I feel so relieved watching your videos. And
right.
Going, and then I'm sure, you know, then the next thing, of course, that's going to happen is he's cracking a bunch of like dusty old men. And then one time he just gets a hot ass Latina in there wearing yoga pants because she actually just came in, and he's like, I guess I'll do a bit of Chiro on you. And honky donkey, why did that video get 100 times more views than my last one and a million more comments? And suddenly a new genre is unlocked, and everybody at Alphabet, aka Google, aka YouTube, is rubbing their hands together going, we're just gonna make a whole bunch new bucks from a new genre unlocked. So that's Gregory Johnson. He's a pioneer. He pioneered the Y-strap, the ring dinger. He has a bell in his office because chiropractic is so legit that you can just have bells in your office, like when you land a real estate deal in your agency. Now, John, maybe you want to talk about the Y-strap and the ring dinger.
So does he have a bell for every time somebody gets ring dinged? That's great.
That's hence ring ding.
That's awesome. I did not know that. I always wondered why the device, the Y-strap, was called the ring dinger. It's great. What it does is basically, and I've seen it kind of used as a device. I've also seen people essentially simulate the effect of it by using a towel or something like that.
Yeah, I can't believe we both know all this. This is great. Like,
yeah,
and obviously what he's done there is he's replaced the ring dinger Y-strap with a classic classic small towel.
So what happens is they put a Y-strap that essentially is like a kind of chin strap that goes around the bottom of your cranium, and they'll pull it.
The person is laying down on a table.
Sorry, I should explain. The person's laying down on on like a massage table, usually something similar.
The patient,
and they attach the Y-strap, and they say, "Are you ready to get rung dunged?" And the person goes, "Yes," and they say, and they say 3, 2, 1, rung dung, and no, they don't always do that. And then they pull it in quite a violent manner. And I wondered, like, some of them, I mean, there is a real risk, I think, of some kind of aortic dissection happening there, or possibly like spine breakage. But I guess what it does, if it works well, or if it goes to plan, is that it essentially kind of stretches your spine so that you get this sudden kind of full body crack, and you get like you feel kind of elongated. And so it's like a kind of violent form of what they would call traction, what they sometimes call traction when people have back problems. And then it's kind of the ultimate crescendo to a Chiro vid, because there's this slight element of risk and excess to it that, like, and you've seen kind of conventional cracks. Now we're going to give you the dirty ring ding. And somebody just looks like they have this moment of
the highest stakes.
Exactly. The highest stakes. Will they feel better, or will their eyes just roll back, and that'll be the end of them? And and they have this moment where they kind of go because they're getting ring dinged, and you can see this like sort of shock in their face. And then sometimes they lie there for a few seconds, and you're like, are they hurt or are they feeling better? And then they'll say, like, that was amazing. Or sometimes they'll just keep groaning, and you'll think, well, that person's probably going to sue them because they're hurt.
Well, this also speaks to another... Sorry, Joe, I was just going to interrupt and say, this also speaks to another thing that we should probably mention, which is that virtually all of the cracks they are surprises. So like there is no countdown because the chiropractors need you to be relaxed when they perform, because if you're anxious and you tense up, then that tenses the muscles and there is more risk of injury. Yeah. So part of the whole chiro thing is just the shock that comes, because the chiropractor will just be going, yeah, I mean, we got a little bit of a track, and then they snap you, and then you go, and then so that's part of it, yeah. So and then sorry, just interrupted.
I watched one before in preparation for this, and somebody was going, "Are you going to crack my neck soon?" And the guy goes, "Oh, we'll do it a little later." And they're just
there you go.
And they go, "Oh," and then so there's an element of, I mean, that's another kind of part of the key to what makes it watchable is you don't know when the moment of climax will come. Yeah. And so that's the ring ding. And I mean, there's probably a number of other kind of slightly less, or the other one I've seen is like a kind of almost like a stun gun that looks like something you might use to euthanize beef cattle. And they like,
it's a percussion gun, yeah.
Percussion
gun.
Oh,
you're talking about that. That is weird, that device. It's so funny because I'm like, this clearly doesn't do anything. Like, it's really like you're watching like it just snake oil salesman from 200 years ago.
Yeah, it reminds me of that treatment that you saw, like if you've ever seen, was it Man on the Moon, the Jim Carrey film about what's his name, the comedian, and at the end of his life he got this sort of snake oil treatment because he had cancer, and he got this thing where they'll do like
Andy Kaufman,
that's right, and he got like this treatment, and I'm sure lots of people have seen it, where they kind of do sleight of hand and they make it look like they're sort of removing toxins.
It's a classic. It's a classic
from your body. They
have a bucket next to the patient that they're like pulling innards out of, going, oh, this is all. They'll put their hand on you and cover it in some sort of goo, so it's all wet, and then they'll shake their hand, and then they'll like pull chicken gizzards out of it and go, oh, this is the tumor coming out.
That's right, exactly. And they have this thing which looks like sort of like a stapler gun, basically, and they're just kind of using it on the joints to sort of loosen them up a bit. So that's another sort of slightly less dramatic.
Have you seen the weird dial alignment thing? That's another one of my favorites.
I think so.
It's basically like it looks like a scuba diving oxygen kind of dial, with a needle, like a compass, and it has two little prongs on it. And they'll put it on the back of somebody's spine and run it up and down and look at the little dial, and it's meant to say whether or not I think you're like aligned or not. And I absolutely love it. Like, and they just run up and they go, very okay, great here, and not like, okay, there's your problem. Like, they hit the point and they go, and they, the fucking dial thing will like spin around. It's just like just like the Scientologists,
water diviners, or people, exactly. It's like the Thetan measure, but
it shares so much with all that world.
Exactly. It's that. Yeah. It's the idea, and I think that Washington Post article put it well. But there's something about us that likes this sort of slightly magical aspect to it, but also this veneer of scientific plausibility, coupled with that sense of, it's like people talking about detoxifying, and that the science behind that is a bit wishy-washy in some respects, but people like to believe that their bodies kind of build up bad spirits, and that you can in an instant you can sort of flush them out, and
oddly satisfying.
Yeah, it is weirdly satisfying. I mean, my favorites, there's a guy who I think has a kind of Irish accent, and he still puts out videos mostly in the old-fashioned style, where he is filming himself at events where I'm just trying to get his name, and he's kind of, so he'll be like,
I think I know the guy you're talking about, actually.
Yeah, is
he hosting like classes with students, or
exactly,
is he the one that's recently started to get sleeves of tattoos? Because I fucking love that guy.
Which is weird, because he's like a kind of he's just like a
granddad.
He just looks like a kind of aging, normal-looking bloke who doesn't look at all sort of up with trends, but he's progressively covered in tats, and he's always at these
which just adds to it as well, because you just think, who are these fucking weirdos that are in this world?
That's
like,
right.
Why isn't there any normal people in this?
Yeah, and he's always at some, conference room at a hotel in Phuket performing cavitations for a eager audience. And then
I saw with the one recently where he just had the cellophane all wrapped around his wrist because he'd just had tattoos done. So he's literally in one of these conferences, and it's great too because he gets his own banners made. So he'll get a kind of vinyl banner made that says like Dr. Gary's Cavitation Workshop, Phuket Hilton 2025 in the background, and then he'll have a group of people around him, and he's got a patient on the table, and he's explaining how he's going to perform the adjustment, and he literally, his entire forearm was wrapped in cellophane as he was
addicted to getting tatted up.
The adjustment. So good. So weird.
So there's him. Another one I like is the OC Chiro, who I know you are a little bit familiar with.
So this leads us, John, perfectly into some of the big names and some of the hottest subgenres that are starting to pop out. And some of these what's going to be really exciting for you out there listening and watching today is that some of these subgenres have not been identified. I'm going to identify them. I've noticed that there's certain styles that you might be watching them and going, oh yeah, it's just regular Chiro. No. There's some hot new deltas that are starting to split off. OC, let's have a look at the OC chiropractor. Okay, so this guy I did want to talk about in particular.
Yeah, okay.
So this is
AKA Alex van der Sheldon. Dr. Alex
van der Sheldon. Now, I only discovered Dr. van der Sheldon recently on TikTok. And what I love about him and what he's bringing to the adjustment table, which I love so dear, is I'm 90%, 95, 99% sure that Alex is gay. Okay. Right. So Alex is bringing, and we'll get into this also in a second, a lot of the original, a lot of the Chiro videos from the last few years have featured like straight male chiropractors adjusting very beautiful women, and there is a very flirtatious dynamic between the two of them. It's a very kind of like will they, won't they energy. But the OC chiropractor just sounds like Ryan Reynolds. And so he's bringing this like hyper camp energy, which is very unique because it's like he's bringing that flirtation to the table, but it's more comfortable in the same way that, because there's no like, the women don't have to be uncomfortable in the same way as they would with a straight male chiropractor. So he'll bring them in, he'll be like, how you doing today? How you doing today, baby? And she's like, I don't know if he says baby, but he's like, so how's it going there? And they're like, doctor, I'm this, and yeah, okay. Yeah, I understand. That sounds tough. Sounds really tough. And then he's got a move which he calls the magic hug, which you will have also seen our boy, which we'll get to in a second, king of YouTube thumbnails, Dr. Alex Tubio, king of the greasy tear thumbnail, who we'll get to in a sec. But the OC chiropractor, he appears often to be, and again, this is this kind of location change, which is a new style. He often appears, the ones I've seen of him on TikTok, it looks like he's in like a hotel, and then you can see the kind of there's like a courtyard in the background full of bamboo trees or something. It's really beautiful. And he will do this thing which sorry, go on.
Could be like a kind of ritzy medical complex
or a ritzy hotel. Yeah, exactly. And then he'll go, how you doing there? Okay, it sounds like you've had a real tough day. We can do something about that. I think we are gonna sort of we'll do a little something about that. And he's like buff. He's getting like tight t-shirt
sort of cocky
on.
as well. He's got a real.
That's part of it. Yeah,
he's got a real cockiness
to the whole Chiro thing. There's a kind of arrogant, because they're in a position of power. They're like, I know. It's oddly sexual. It's like, I know things about your body. I know how to make your body work in a way that
I got what you need, baby. You need to be cracked. I got what you need, baby. And I'm going to give you a magic hug.
Most men don't know how to crack you. Like, I don't know how to crack you, baby. And So yeah, the OC chiropractor, and he has got something which is called the magic hug. I have here, which I think Dr. Alex Tubio does the same thing. And again, this is something that makes me really smile because I just don't imagine that this existed before YouTube Chiro, or if it did, I feel like it will have been rare. Because if I went to a chiropractor 20 years ago and I said, oh, I've got a bit of pain in my neck, and he said, oh, let me just sort that out for you. And then he had me sit on the end of the chiropractor table and he said, okay, I'm just going to climb up on the table and I'm going to stand on the table above you. And I just be like, what the, like, when have you ever been to a doctor and the doctor said, you just sit down and I'm literally going to climb like a toddler. I'm going to climb up on the table. So my feet are on the same surface that you're sat on, and I'm going to stand above you. Like, so I'm almost like my head's almost touching the fucking ceiling of the office. And then they lean down and and this is the magic hug, and they sort of wrap your Tubio's great at this as well. And it's this very comforting, they spread their legs and they go, okay, just, and then they're standing above you and they cradle your head. Yeah. And they go, there you go. Just a little bit of, just relax. Yeah. Let it go. Yeah. Just, don't just go with me. Don't guard. They say don't guard a lot. Don't guard it. Yeah, just don't guard it. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. And there you go. And then they snap you. And,
no, you're good at it. I felt that one.
That's the magic hug. And the OC chiropractor who's bringing this Ryan Reynolds hyper camp sort of flirtatious energy to the table with all the ladies.
True. And he does this kind of, because he's very handsome and sort of, he wears these kind of well-fitted T-shirts and he looks kind of like very at ease, very cocky, very kind of, he's got this kind of boyish charm. And then he'll crack you and then he'll look across the room as though there's onlookers, and he kind of makes this face like he's surprised by, he's like, fuck, that was a bit much. That was a real big crack. We're getting wild. And I always like to imagine that there's just no one, I mean, because there probably isn't. There's just no one that he's looking at. He's just kind of imagining that his colleagues are like, fucking, what was that? And
and this is another thing where I'm like, don't, like, chiropractors, you can't be upset that people don't think that you're real doctors when this is how you see a client. Like, when have you ever gone to see a GP and the GP has like done something or investigated or palpated a bit of your body and then stood back and gone, that was a big, like, it's just insane. This is like considered to be like, I want to be taken seriously, but I'm going to but after I've cracked your neck, I'm going to react like I just watched like Michael Jordan do a 360 slam dunk. Fucking,
that's exactly what it is. And then he's got little captions on his reels. These magic hugs were crispy. And another one.
That's the other one, crispy. Yeah.
Yeah.
And they'll say to the patient, "Oh, you were crispy."
March. I like that. A March wrap up with the best cracks.
And he had, when I looked him up as well, one of the pinned videos, which we need to talk about as well, is him adjusting boxing legend Floyd Mayweather. And this is another thing that's big in the YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, online Chiro ASMR world, is adjusting celebrities. The celebrity collab. Yeah. So when I put in the original pioneer, Gregory Johnson, so I put him into if I go Gregory Johnson Chiro, the first video that comes up, one of his most popular is with Jack Harlow. Rapper Jack Harlow has gone to get adjusted by Dr. Gregory Johnson. So we've talked a little bit about the OC. We love him, Dr. Alex van der Sheldon. Check him out. If you want to see a kind of Ryan Reynolds, if that's your style of Chiro, if you want to sort of imagine like a sort of Ryan Reynolds sort of spicy kind of a Chiro, then you're going to want to check out Dr. Alex van der Sheldon. Now, we've got to talk about a guy that me and John love to chat about for so many different reasons, just beyond his incredible chiropractorisms. And that's Dr. Alex Tubio, who I love Dr. Alex Tubio. So he has got the most elite thumbnail game you've ever seen. If you want an absolute lesson in how to get people to click on your YouTube video, just look up Dr. Alex Tubio, and your screen is going to be filled with so much serotonin,
so much curiosity gapping.
There'll be so much curiosity gapping that you can barely go through his thumbnails without being completely depleted.
It's true. I mean, and that's a good example of, like, I would say, not only
of dopamine.
Yeah, exactly. Not only has chiropractor ASMR persisted, but it's also been so successful that it's kind of influenced YouTube, viral videos more generally. And Tubio is probably an example of that. Like, I reckon he has done things, or whoever's doing it for him has done things with his YouTube thumbnails that certainly I've looked at for inspiration in DPTM thumbnails, because he's a master. He's a master of the curiosity gaps, the sort of exaggerated facial expressions, and my personal favorite, the really, really greasy looking tears streaming down people's cheeks.
Enormous anime-inspired greasy tears. And in fact, if you look at if you YouTube Dr. Alex Tubio, there's high emotion in every thumbnail. So there's tons of crying. So I've looked up Dr. Alex Tubio. I'll just read people some of the titles as well. We have 10 chiropractors failed in all caps to fix him. Back pain chiropractic adjustment. Husband forbid wife to see another chiropractor. So this is like
love it.
Couldn't turn his head for 10 years. 10,000.
He's got fucking locked in syndrome, and all he needed was a crack.
Catatonic for 20 years, cracked him back to life, is Dr. Alex Tubio.
That's right.
$10,000 5 chiropractors. $10,000 5 chiropractors and no relief. So like this is another thing, is like you go with she's been going to chiropractors her whole life and none of them could fix her, and then Tubio comes in. Top 10 most emotional crack compilation of Tubio. Just check him out. I fucking love him so much. The other thing about Tubio, he has a very lovely and the giant eyeballs. I love it so much. Like, look at this, John. I just love. He's always like, why have they done that? It's so fun. I just can't imagine the first time that his thumbnail artist must have sent these back to him.
Yeah,
he must have gone, what? You've made a terrible mistake. You've given me a stigmata. I've got huge eyeballs like popping out of my head. And the thumb expert must have said, trust me, Tubes, this is going to work. And he's like, why? Why would you give me those eyes? But just have a look, John. I've just given you.
Artist had a deep and dark insight into human beings and how their minds work. Goes, the emotion is in the eyes, so we just need to make them huge. Oh, look at that. He's communicating shock by making it look like his eyes have just about left his sockets. Doctors said her headaches were uncurable.
Real enough. They're just real enough that it's not like cartoon. It looks like that stigmatism thing where you've just got eyeballs popping out of your head.
Yeah.
So that's Tubio. And Tubio also, the other thing I love about him is he wears like the latest drip. So he'll have Nike Airs on and really cool funky clothes.
Yeah.
And then he is always leaping up on the table and straddling the patient, like just he'll be behind them and he will cradle their head and go, yeah, just he's guarding him there. You know,
yeah, he's also got a kind of you know, an approachability. He's sort of small framed. He's, I'd say, Filipino American.
That's my guess. Yeah,
he's you know, kind of quite handsome, but very sort of non-threatening and quite compassionate and gentle in his bedside manner. So he's perfected that angle of the sort of, you know, the person, the chiro who would say to you like, gee, it's been tough. You're working two jobs. Both of them require you to just move your neck up and down for 10 hours a day. And I can feel it. You've got a huge knot in here. And it's been that way for 20 years. And you've gone blind from knots. And
and you're a patriotic American who deserves
exactly
better. You love your country, and we're gonna crack you back to health in an instant.
That's what happens when you don't have public health care. You basically have to rely on his, because what I imagine he does, I don't know, but I mean, there's a range of business models. I imagine there'd be some who, as you say, started accidentally. There'd be people like the guy who gives classes, but then just sort of has a side hustle, you know, as a YouTuber filming those classes. And then there'd be people who kind of, you know, have a genuine chiropractor practice, but then they'd say to people, I'll give you a free adjustment if you agree to be filmed.
That is what happens, John. And I'm assuming there probably now are people going into, which is fucking hilarious. There's probably people learning some basics of chiropractic. Is it? Do I say chiropractic?
I don't know. I've been saying chiropractic. I don't know if that's a thing.
Chiropractic. Chiropractor. I've been saying chiropractorism. There's people that go into, there's probably people now that go into it thinking I'll start a YouTube channel, which is fucking hilarious because what of course initially will have happened is that people would have gone into it without really knowing that it was a thing on YouTube, or they started before it was a thing on YouTube. They realize it's a thing on YouTube and go, well, I'd like to be famous, make more money, have like tons of hot women come into my office. Yeah, and also get more clients.
Chiropractor, so integrity is not a huge deal for me.
Exactly, yeah. I have to send you another Tubio thumbnail, John. And just FYI, our Patreons will know there's a channel in our Discord which is all about YouTube and YouTube channels, and I am just constantly posting screenshots of Tubio thumbnails and just gone, these are the most elite thumbnails you've ever seen. Like, what about this? What about this one, John? What are you seeing? What do you see in here?
Let's see here.
The packages.
And he uses arrows and things to hint at some kind of narrative that will be revealed. And she's making a face, he's making a face, classic sort of triumph moment. And then
what's the title?
It says in the actual thumbnail itself, paralyzed, couldn't walk for 2 weeks. And then the caption is no less dramatic.
The title
says huge truck smashed her 70 miles per hour. ASMR chiropractic adjustment back pain relief, Dr. Tubio. And she's got the sort of big swelly eyes. She looks like a
child too. It looks like a child. It looks like a child. Exactly.
And he's captured her at the moment of the release, and it looks like it's that classic thing of like, she looks like she could be alarmed and in pain, or she could be about to experience the greatest relief and pleasure of her entire life. And you just have to watch to find out. That's how the tube man gets you.
Well, it's funny. The thumbnail communicates. The arrow is basically it's like the curiosity gap, John. You can see he's adjusting her on the left-hand side of the thumbnail. Yeah. And then on the right-hand side, you can see her relief after. She's going, "Whore," and he's going, "Whore." So you, as the viewer, go, I want to see what caused, like, I want to see this. I want to know what gave her that relief. It's genius.
I want to take that journey from A to B.
Maybe we can get Tubio's thumbnail person on the podcast. Like, we're not going to get Tubes because he's too much of a big deal.
Yeah.
And I reckon, are we the first people to say on YouTube, like, we are such huge fans of Dr. Tubio's thumbnail person, because it's just next level wacky, whoever's doing those packages.
It's true.
That's Dr. Alex Tubio. We're going to move right on to a new style.
Yeah.
I mean, this style's kind of been around for years, and there's a bunch of people that do it. It's Dr. Tyler Bigenho DC, 1.16 million, and he is bringing that classic flirtatious energy to the Chiro table. And so he's very handsome. And actually, when I mentioned flirtation as a subgenre to John of Chiro, John knew who this guy was, I believe. And so what he'll do is he'll get very hot women to come in to his YouTube videos, and then he will say things to them like, "Yeah, how are you doing today? Like, what are your hobbies?" And she'll go, "Oh, I like doing this. I like doing this." "Yeah, you like doing that? That doesn't sound very cool at all." And then she'll giggle. And then he'll say, you crack your own neck. It feels a little bit here like maybe you crack your own neck. You shouldn't be doing that. You're a bad girl. You shouldn't be doing that. And she'll go,
naughty.
I don't crack my own neck. And he'll go, "You're not lying to me, are you? You lying to me?" And
it's true. It's true.
And then he'll like do a shock crack, like a quick, like he'll go, "Oh, a little bit of bind at C4, C5. We're just gonna," and then it cracks their neck, and then he'll do the surprise. And then what he'll often do is, instead of doing the incredibly shocked face, he'll do this kind of confident, "I knew that was gonna happen," like smug smirk. They'll be shocked. They'll be like, "Oh my God, Dr. Tyler, I can't believe you did that. I was so crunchy." And he'll go, "Yeah, it's what happens. Sometimes that's how I get you. That's how I get you." And then he'll say, and then he'll go, and again, this is the difference between a GP and a Chiro. Then he'll go, and a lot of them do this, which I wanted to mention. High five. Like
really?
They'll get you to high five them after they've cracked you. Like, we've all done a good job here. We've won the crack game.
We did it.
Hell yeah. That was fire. That was what it'll go. That was fire. High five. And then I'll high five them.
Just like a medically trained doctor would do after giving you important surgery.
Exactly, just after you've had a tumor removed, and they'll say that was fire.
Go out and report
five
to the family. He'll take a couple of hours to come out of it, but he's fine. We managed to put a stent in next to the artery, and high five.
So check that out. That's kind of handsome flirtation, and there's so many of those. There's often a flirtatious kind of vibe between the straight chiropractor and the hot woman in yoga pants, although it goes very unspoken because I mean, you're going to be putting your YouTube channel at quite a lot of risk if you're more overt, like you know.
Yeah, you don't want to look out. You don't want to look pervy. You look like you want to look like everyone's having a great time, and you're keeping it above board, but you're just hinting at the possibility of some sort of.
And what helps with Dr. Tyler is he has a hot wife or fiance, and so he keeps mentioning her, and so then you can just do whatever you want, because you can just be like, man, my wife, she hates it when I do that. You're not lying to me, are you? You lying to me? My wife, she wouldn't like it if you were lying to me.
Al, are you familiar with Dr. Brenda Mondragon, DC? DC, by the way.
She was on my list, and the reason is because she is a rare breed. She is a female YouTube chiropractor, Dr. Brenda Mondragon. What do you know about her, John? What have you seen of her?
Yeah, I've watched a few of her videos, and she's an interesting case because obviously the fan base and their motivations are a little bit different because of the fact that they're not interested necessarily in the fact that she's cracking a hot patient, although she does do a bit of that, but they're interested also in her, and which is surprising. I mean, she's not unattractive, but she's not particularly kind of stunning or anything either. She's just like a kind of normal looking woman who might be around 40 years old, but you can see from the comments that people are kind of there's these typical sort of downtrodden, slightly kind of sad sounding people who are saying like, "You're looking beautiful today, Dr. Brenda," and all this sort of shit. And she doesn't really engage with that, but she must be aware that that's kind of a big part of what her appeal is. And she wears these sort of fairly conservative but slightly sexy outfits, which I guess is kind of all part of it.
She wears yoga pants, doesn't she, Brenda? Let's have a look.
Yeah,
Brenda
and sort of she'll often wear like you can see from the reels,
yoga pants.
Yeah, that's right. She'll often wear kind of gym clothes, but you can see from the reels that it'll capture her at a point where she's posing a bit sexily or leaning forward, revealing her cleavage or whatever. And Jesus so even though that's not sort of openly acknowledged,
she knows what she's doing.
She knows. She definitely.
I'm just having a look here. I'm having a look at the thumbnails from the shorts, from the YouTube shorts, and boy, does she know how to earn that click. Yeah,
100%. But also, I'm just having a look at the Instagram posts. But and also, she's got a. She's good on the devices too, and on sort of certain incidental processes that are not what I would think of as chiropractor. Or chiropractic, but part of her shtick, one of the things she does is use this kind of scraper that makes people's skin look quite raw. But I guess I don't know what it's doing. It's getting rid of fascia tension. They love a bit of fascia tension or facile or something like that. It's basically the kind of small muscles that are under your skin, and so she loves the scraper. She does kind of things with people's ears and sometimes clicks weird parts of them that you wouldn't think you could click. And she's got a Patreon. And if you go to the Patreon, again, she's kind of walking up to the line by saying, so the full one is €15.50 a month, €15.50 a month, plus VAT. It says, "There isn't anything spicy here, y'all. No nudity, just the full image that I've cropped on my other social media accounts. And but the photo that she's showing as an example is a little bit, gives a little bit of a lie to that. I mean, it's obvious that what she's doing is saying, I'm not going to kind of commit to, just like being an OnlyFans chiro, but I accept that people want to subscribe because, maybe they find me attractive and they've got a bit of a fin-dom thing going on. So by all means do that, and you'll get clothed vids of me.
It totally would be men. She would totally get men who are the type of men that are into, like, I'm not saying exclusively, but I get a feeling that if you go to see a dominatrix, you probably would see a little bit of Mondragon elbowing a man in the back while he screams. The other thing with Mondragon, the niche that she's found for herself, the pocket that she's got that she's absolutely owning, and might I add, as far as I've discovered, she has more subscribers than any other chiro that I found on YouTube. She has 3.84, so almost 4 million subscribers. Fuck. And a lot of the other big boys have like close to 2, if that. So she's got like double of a lot of the male chiros. And John, what are you going to get with Brenda that you're not going to get in any other chiro video? You are going to get one woman chiroing another woman. You're going to get 2 women in an ASMR YouTube chiro scene. You're not going to get that with boys. You're going to get boy on girl. You're not going to get girl on girl. And so
chiro, that's true. Sapphic.
So if you want to see a girl working on another girl, you got to go and check out Mondragon. She's an interesting kind of demeanor to her as well. I've watched a lot of her videos over the years and I love her so much. Now, let's move on. I'm going to finish the show out with some of the hottest, wackiest trends in chiro that are happening over on TikTok, which I love so dear. And there's TikTok, the short form, you can be a bit more experimental in your chiro niche because you don't have to form the long narrative of, oh, come in, how's everything going? Nah. You can have a bit of that, but you can do it in like 3 seconds and you can just fire at people some of the weirdest shit that you can just shoot into people's brainstem straight away.
Yeah.
And so I want to start off with something light that I found in the last, maybe only the last 2 weeks, which I absolutely love on TikTok. This is an account, actually, maybe it's not even an account, but if you just TikTok search for it, it'll come up. They open the video, there's 3 women. It's called Corporate Cracks. And what happens is the videos begin and it appears that there's like 3 young American women who look like they actually are working in a corporate office. They have the security passes, just a normal security pass, like, and their name tagged on them, and they're wearing kind of corporate looking outfits. Yeah. And it looks like they've gone to like an unused breakout room of the office building that they work in, and they've put their phone down, and they walk up to the camera and they go, Corporate Cracks. And there's 3 of them and they're looking at the camera, and they approach the camera and then they crack themselves. Like one of them will just twist herself and crack really loudly. And then the other one will walk up and go and adjust her shoulders. And I'm getting served them every day, corporate cracks.
Self-cracking.
Self-cracking, and in a corporate environment, they've taken a 15-minute break to do corporate cracks, and I absolutely love it. The next one is, he's a man after my own heart because he's a German, and this really speaks to how you change location and it just adds something. This is Florian Reimenschneider. Florian Reinenschneider, and I've sent you a bunch of his, John. He is a very, very like roided up looking German, massive, like a huge German man who looks like he goes to the gym and just chugs juice. Yeah. And what is so fascinating about his videos is when they start, he appears to just be in like countries that Germans go to have a cheap, sunny holiday. Like it looks like he's in Turkey a lot of the time, or like maybe Albania or something. And what he'll do is like the videos start and it looks like he's just walked up to people on the street or people that have had a brief service interaction with him, like a bellboy at a hotel, or literally like waiting staff at a restaurant, or somebody who's working behind the counter of a sports store, because the video will start and it's out the front of a sports store on a sunny day, and there's just like a sort of slightly perturbed looking older man laying on the ground with a towel wrapped around his neck, and this enormous German bronze juice head who only seems to know like a few, the German guy is just going, Florian's just going, relax, just relax. And then there's like, or it'll just literally be like a bellhop in the bellhop outfit in the foyer of a hotel. And then he'll just like, often they're standing, and he'll just like crack you while you're standing. Yeah. And so I've seen him like, he's always got people laying down literally on the street, because he's just like, somebody said, oh, there's your espresso, sir. And then he's gone, hey, I'm a chiropractor. I bet you got a low tension in your neck. Just let me film you. And then the next thing you know, the person is literally laying on the dirty street, and he's like doing adjustments. He's pulling their leg.
Throwing money at people and saying, I'll give you $100 if you just let me film you being cracked.
Yeah. Yeah, or maybe it's just like, look, I'm a chiropractor. I'm going to give you. I mean, I would, if I trusted him, which I absolutely wouldn't by the look of him, but then you're going to get a free release, and so that's true. What I love about Florian. And then I'm just going, where are you, Florian? Why are you going to these? His whole thing is like, I go to sunny, cheap countries, and there's this weird like power dynamic, because he's like, I'm just going to get the service staff of these countries to be my patience for my weird TikTok.
Just gonna get some
relax,
some Albanian porter who's who's like scraping a living. Yeah.
And then the other one I just wanted to mention quickly, another kind of style, is the Chiro collab, which is where you get 2 chiros to adjust each other. So you'll get Dr. Alex Tubio will visit Tyler Bigenho, and they will like adjust each other. And it's this thing where they're like, it's Chiro All-Stars. It's the Chiro All-Stars SummerSlam weekend. Exactly. And the nice thing about, like, not only do you get, obviously they get one another's audience from the channel, like But
yeah, of course.
But the nice thing for you as a viewer is they're like, they're knowing. It's like, I see what you did there. You gave me a C4 cavitation, classic. Didn't expect you to give me the BF 76, but you worked it there, and I really feel it. And so it works. And so the Chiro collab is a big thing too.
You know, pay each other compliments like that, like two, you know, kind of craftspeople of that particular in that game who are like, oh yeah, no, that was nice. I've been watching how you do that. I've been watching how you do the hugs.
And they'll say things like, oh, you know what? I stopped doing that for a few years, that one for a few years, but I think I'm going to bring it back because I've seen you doing it, and you do this. You add a little twist, which I absolutely love, and I think I'm going to bring it back. And then you've spoken about this before, John, but this is obviously the weirdest one, but the one of the best. And if you want to go niche, animal chiropractic.
Yeah, Dr. Doug Wellen, animal cracker.
Yeah, there's animal cracker, and then there's another German man, Bones Hands Animals Pet Chiro, where the video title will say, "This hamster hasn't felt relief in 20 years," and then he just holds the hamster like you would a falafel. And then he just like gives it, and then he goes like, relax, relax, relax. And they look, and the hamster just has no fucking idea what's going on. And then he just squishes it, and it will squeak, and you'll hear a little crack, and then he'll give it a little gentle shake and go, meine Süße, which is like my sweetness, my treasure. And he's cracking bulldogs, and he's cracking fucking marmots.
I'll never get sick of Willen because, his range of animals. I mean, he does horses, which is obviously like a horse's vertebrae. That's a 2-man job. That's serious business. You get some like shock waves out of them if you crack them too much. And so he does that, and the horse the horse just is tolerating it. Maybe in some cases they do feel better. I don't know. But I mean, it's hard to even know what's going on in humans, let alone what an animal is experiencing. And then my favorite is probably when he does it to a kind of despondent looking pig that's just sitting on the floor of a sty, and he says, oh, he's all sore, and it's like, how the fuck would you know? And then he's just like sort of shoving it, and it's eventually gives a little muffled crack, and then wanders off, and he's like, that pig feels like $1 million now, and the pig's just like minding its own business, and he says things to them like, breathe out. I'm like, mate, that's a pig. What are you doing?
So you got to check out. Just put in animal chiro into any of the in social media video platforms, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram. You're gonna be having a great day. Look, guys, go and check them all out. Who have we talked about today? You're going to be checking out the OG pioneer, Gregory Johnson Chiro. You're gonna want to check out king of the thumbnail, Dr. Alex Tubio. You're gonna want to check out Joseph Cipriano. We didn't get to him. He's a classic, like hot woman, getting the clicks from all the hot women, 2.29 million from Cipriano. John, you would know him. I love him too because he's a little bit more of a portly fellow, but he wears like really tight fitting, funky outfits, which I kind of quite like. Yeah, so that brings a certain style to it. Deep flirtation. You're looking at Tyler Bigenho. Yeah. If you want a sort of slightly more like interesting kind of calming doctor vibe, Raheem Gonstead I've been really enjoying. He takes himself quite seriously.
You're deep in the law.
I'm deep in the cavitation, John. If you want that kind of camp Ryan Reynolds style, we're talking about Dr. Alex Van der Sheldon, the OC Chiro. He's doing that magic hug. If you want to see a little bit of girl on girl action, you want to turn straight to Dr. Brenda Mondragon. And then if you want to see all the weird and wacky shit that's going on the cutting edge of Chiro world, you want to get on TikTok, definitely. Because again, you don't need to establish any type of long form narrative structure. You can 15 seconds, you can crack a hamster, you can do corporate cracks, you can be Florian Reimenschneider, who's doing weird street Chiro to the third world, which I absolutely love.
Love it.
And I cannot stop watching them. It's been around for years, but it helps me relax at night. And in fact, I had my first ever adjustment after a massage a couple of weeks ago. I went to the Dongguan Center, which is a famous Vietnamese market in East Berlin. And I went with my friends Jordan and Marta, and they knew a place you can go. It was so good. It was a place that did like haircuts, tattoos, and massages.
Wow.
And the same staff were doing all three, which I absolutely loved. And
Fantastic.
and I got a massage, and then afterwards she gave me a little neck crack right at the end. She just did a side to side, and that was my first ever. It was my first ever time having my neck crack, and I was so looking forward to it because I've watched these chiro videos for years.
Yeah,
and I wanted to feel that adjustment,
pop
and
your
that cavitation
cherry.
Well, it's pop my cavitation today. Absolutely loved it. Felt slightly dangerous, and like I might have been injured, but that's what it was. Part of the thrill for me was that I came away. I was just happy that I could walk home.
Exactly. I think a good part of the relief is just knowing that you haven't become permanently injured.
That's right. That's the thrill. John, have you enjoyed this episode, and do you want to take us out?
Guys, I would love to hear from you, DPTMers, hello@dptm.org. Tell Al about the new frontiers that you want chiropractic to go in. Do you want chiropractors to deal with ghosts, for example, with people's deceased relatives, getting adjustments from beyond the grave?
That would be so good.
What are we gonna see? What are we gonna see? I mean, because this could be still going in 10 years' time. Where's this gonna end? Will it ever end? What bold new barriers could it break? And has it made you? Have you become an addict? Do you become vicariously alleviated by watching Tubio crack someone? You know, maybe as a result of this special, you've gotten into that void, you've climbed into that rabbit hole.
If we've missed any, if you want to share some other social media chiros that you love, send them over, because there's just we could be here all year. I mean,
we could. And unpacking all of the nuances of why certain things. I mean, corporate crackers, like, why does that appeal to people? It's such a kind of layered thing that's going on there. But Al, I had the idea of, just to close us out, it's a bit sort of Tom Green gonzo, but I might just mic up my neck and give you a little cavitation.
Please.
Yeah. Here we go. Did you hear that?
There you go. I wish that I could do that. But actually, before we go, John, I just forgot to do this. I'm wearing the first piece of DPTM merch, which yourself, the John Maloney design, the DPTM Hotchblog t-shirt. You'll have to go to YouTube to check this out.
What a beautiful thing that is. Love it. I love that.
There is one of them on its way to one of our Don't Praise the Machine Patreons this week. That's why I have this one. I had a bunch printed. If you want to check it out, guys, Don't Praise the Machine Patreon, patreon.com/DPTM, or just Google Don't Praise the Machine Patreon and choose the tier that's right for you and your family. Thank you so much, everybody, and we can't wait to see you next week.
The podcast.
Bye.